The moment Leonor looked down at the floor instead of at the cameras, that's when I realized this story was no longer just royal gossip. Because people online didn't react to a headline this week. They reacted to a feeling. And honestly, that changes everything. The Spanish palace released polished images like always. Perfect lighting, perfect angles, perfect posture. But the clips that exploded online weren't the official ones. It was the awkward seconds in between. The pause before she answered. The tired expression when she thought cameras had moved away. The kind of tiny moments people rewind 3 or 4 times because they feel real. And suddenly the internet started asking the question the palace probably wishes would disappear. Is Princess Leonor emotionally overwhelmed? Now before people twist this into conspiracy content, let me say something important immediately. There is no official statement confirming any mental health diagnosis involving Princess Leonor. None, and I think responsible commentary matters more than ever in 2026. But what is real is the growing public conversation about pressure, exhaustion, isolation, and the emotional cost of preparing someone this young to become queen. And honestly, I think pretending not to notice it would be fake. Because this doesn't feel like one bad appearance anymore. This feels cumulative, like years of pressure slowly becoming visible in public. And what fascinates me is how audiences are reacting very differently now compared to even 5 years ago. In the past, royals were expected to look untouchable. Elegant, controlled, almost robotic, but modern audiences don't connect to perfection anymore. They connect to emotional authenticity. That's why this Leonor conversation exploded so quickly online. If you're new to Leonor's story, subscribe, I post every day. Because I genuinely think we're watching the future of monarchy change in real time, and most people haven't even realized it yet. Now here's the detail that stuck with me personally. It wasn't even what Leonor said. It was how carefully she seemed to manage every expression on her face. And maybe I'm overanalyzing, honestly, that's possible, but sometimes you can tell when someone is trying very hard to look okay. That effort becomes visible, and the reason this story resonates so deeply right now is because people recognize that feeling from their own lives. Trying to stay composed, trying to perform normally, trying to look calm while mentally exhausted. That's universal. The difference is, most people don't have millions of strangers studying their face while they do it. And I think that's the hidden psychological reality of modern royalty nobody talks about enough. Especially for someone Leonor's age. Because let's really think about this for a second. Most people in their early 20s are still figuring out who they are privately. They make mistakes quietly. They change opinions. They disappear for weeks if they need space. Leonor doesn't get that luxury. Every public appearance becomes symbolic. Every expression becomes political. Every silence becomes a headline. That's not normal human pressure. And honestly, I think the palace accidentally created this situation themselves. Because for years they've marketed Leonor almost like a perfect future queen product instead of letting people see her as a real young woman first. And here's my hot take. Perfection branding always works, until the audience starts craving humanity more than image. That's exactly where we are now. People aren't obsessed with Leonor because she looks flawless. They're obsessed because she suddenly looks human. And I think that scares the monarchy a little. Because modern internet culture works differently than traditional royal media strategy. Audiences trust candid moments more than official statements now. A shaky video clip on social media feels more honest to viewers than a professionally edited palace photo. That's a huge shift. It's why people spent the last 48 hours zooming into tiny reactions instead of reading official reports. And honestly, I noticed something else too. The media keeps describing Leonor as disciplined, focused, and prepared. But younger audiences online are using completely different words. Tired, lonely, emotionally drained. That gap matters. Because Gen Z doesn't consume royalty the same way older generations did. They don't just admire status anymore. They psychoanalyze visibility. They study body language. They look for emotional subtext. That's why someone like Kate Middleton became such a massive discussion online during her absence earlier this year. People weren't satisfied with official explanations anymore. They wanted emotional transparency. And now Leonor is entering that exact same internet culture, except she's younger and under even more pressure to perform stability. That's dangerous. Especially because I don't think people fully understand how isolating royal life probably is in private. Like seriously, who does Leonor actually trust completely? Think about it. Security teams follow her everywhere. Advisors monitor appearances. Media experts analyze reactions. The palace controls messaging. Imagine growing up inside that environment while knowing your future role is basically already decided for you. That would emotionally exhaust almost anybody. And this is where I think comparisons become really interesting. While Prince William and Kate Middleton still represent the old, controlled elegance, model of monarchy, Leonor feels more like a modern public figure trapped between two worlds. Part royal, part celebrity, part national symbol, part internet character. That combination creates unbelievable pressure. Honestly, it reminds me of how creators like Mr. Beast understand modern audience psychology better than most institutions do. Today's audiences don't just follow status anymore, they follow emotional narrative. That's why people can't stop watching Leonor right now. Not because she caused scandal, but because viewers sense emotional tension. And tension creates curiosity. Now here's something I don't think enough commentators are saying out loud. There's a huge difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is healthy, secrecy creates speculation, and I think the Spanish palace sometimes confuses those two things. The more controlled Leonor's image becomes, the more audiences start searching for hidden meaning in tiny details. That's just how internet culture works now. If she looks serious, people think something is wrong. If she smiles too hard, people think it's forced. If she stays silent, theories explode. That's an impossible environment psychologically. And honestly, I think audiences know it. That's why this story has emotional traction beyond royal watchers. Even people who don't care about monarchy are watching because the pressure feels relatable. People see themselves in her. The burnout, the expectations, the performance fatigue. And maybe that's the real reason this conversation became so huge in 2026. Not because viewers believe there's some secret dramatic collapse happening behind palace walls, but because Leonor accidentally became a symbol of something much bigger. What happens when a young person is expected to carry an institution while simultaneously surviving internet culture? That's the real story. And personally, I think this is the first time many viewers stopped seeing her as just the future queen and started seeing her as a person under extraordinary emotional pressure. That shift matters more than any headline. Because once audiences emotionally humanize a royal figure, the entire relationship changes forever. Just look at Princess Diana. People didn't connect to her because she looked powerful. They connected because they sensed vulnerability underneath the image. And I think some viewers are beginning to project that same emotional reading onto Leonor now. Whether accurate or not, that perception is becoming part of her public identity. And the palace needs to understand something very quickly. In 2026, audiences forgive imperfection faster than they forgive emotional distance. That's the new reality. Because honestly, the more I watch this story unfold, the less I think this is about crisis at all. I think this is about pressure finally becoming visible. And maybe that's why people can't stop talking about it. Not because they want to see Leonor fail, but because they recognize how heavy that crown already looks before she's even wearing it.